When you're standing in front of a rack of gear and trying to decide whether a subwoofer is worth the extra square footage, the hesitation is real. You've probably asked yourself if a 12-inch active unit will actually move the room the way a larger, passive system promises, or if you'll end up spending a few $100s only to have a box that sits quietly on the floor. That's the exact place I wanted to be before I pulled the QSC KS112 into my test setup, because I needed to know if the promise of ultra-compact, high output translates into something you can actually use night after night without a lot of extra gear. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the KS112 isn't trying to be a massive concert hall beast. It's a single box, bandpass design that fits inside a cabinet made from birch plywood. The choice of birch isn't just about looking good. It gives the enclosure a degree of rigidity that helps the driver stay in phase, which is something you notice when you're mixing live sound for a club gig. The unit weighs about 55 pounds, so it's portable enough to be lifted by a couple of people, yet solid enough that it doesn't wobble when you crank the volume up. The two M20 threaded pole receptacles on the back are a small detail, but they make a big difference if you need to mount the sub under a truss or on a speaker stand. You get a locking that keeps the sub from swinging or shifting during a high-energy set. From a setup standpoint, the KS112 is almost plug-and-play. Because it's active, you don't have to run a separate power amp or worry about matching impedance. You just hook the line-level input from your mixer or audio interface, turn it on, and you have a low-frequency foundation. The intrinsic correction tuning is QSC's way of saying the internal DSP compensates for the enclosure's acoustic quirks, which means you don't have to spend time dialing in EQ curves to get a clean bass response. In practice, I found that the sub starts filling out the low end around 45 Hz and maintains a tight, controlled output all the way down to about 30 Hz. It's not a sub that rattles the whole venue, but it does give a noticeable punch that you can feel in a medium-sized room. One of the practical strengths that shows up when you actually run this thing in a live environment is its consistency. I've taken the KS112 to a house concert, a small wedding reception, and a corporate presentation. In each case, the sub delivered a steady low-frequency presence without the boom-boom-boom that sometimes happens when a cheap active sub is underpowered. The built-in loudspeaker management system keeps the output within safe limits, so you're less likely to clip the amp and cause distortion. That safety net is a subtle but valuable feature for anyone who isn't comfortable constantly watching meters. However, there are hidden trade-offs you'll notice if you try to stretch the KS112 beyond its intended niche. Because it's a bandpass design, the low-end roll-off is relatively steep. If you're aiming for a full, rumbling sub-bass experience for a club DJ set that wants to shake the floor, you'll probably feel that the KS112 caps out around the 30 Hz mark. In a larger venue where you need to fill a 200 square foot space, you'll likely need a second sub, or a larger 15-inch model to avoid the thin feeling at higher volumes. The unit's built-in amplifier is sized for the 12-inch driver, so you can't push it beyond what the cabinet was designed for without risking overheating. Another practical weakness is the lack of multiple input options. The KS112 gives you a single line-level input, which is fine if you're feeding it from a mixer that already has a dedicated sub-mix, but it can be limiting if you want to blend two different sources on the fly. Some competing subwoofers offer XLR and inch combo inputs, or even a dedicated link port for chaining two subs together. QSC does provide an optional KS-LOC security cover, which is great for venues where you need to lock down the controls, but it doesn't address the input flexibility issue. Who should consider the KS112? If you're a musician, DJ, or AV technician who regularly works in venues that range from 400 to 1,000 square feet, and you need a reliable low-frequency anchor without hauling a massive sub-cabinet, this is a solid choice. The compact footprint makes it easy to stack on top of a PA speaker or tuck into a corner, and the built-in DSP means you spend less time tweaking and more time performing. It also fits nicely into a portable PA kit where weight and durability matter, the birch construction can survive the rough and tumble of touring trucks, and the pole receptacles let you mount it securely on stage rigs. On the flip side, if you're a club promoter looking to fill a large dance floor, or a home theater enthusiast wanting that cinematic rumble that reaches down to 20 Hz, the